Alright guys, we're back. Last video I posted showed you guys some of the brake parts that I'm going to be putting on Gunner here behind me. So we're going to be upgrading the brakes to Cobra style brakes. It's kind of a mixture of the 93 Cobra stuff with the 03, 04 Cobra stuff, but they all work very well together. 93 Cobra master cylinder, 93 Cobra booster, stainless steel braid lines going to the factory Ford, brand new in the box 94, 95 front Cobra calipers, along with rear factory Ford Varga brand 03, 04 Cobra rear calipers with the North race car brackets and so on and so forth, all stainless steel braid lines with a Ford Racing rear proportioning valve. So all that stuff's going to go in Gunner here. It's something I should have done a long time ago when I was building the car back, I think, around 2010-ish. It's something that I just overlooked, but now I really want to get it done. So, as you guys know, putting a 93 Cobra booster in a Fox body can be a super daunting task. The car here, the hatch behind me, Gunner, she's got a 351 block in her already. So getting the stock booster out is going to be impossible. And putting a 93 Cobra booster, which is even bigger, in is that much more impossible. So the motor has to come out. So also in the last video I mentioned that I would be surprising you guys with what's going to go back in this car. So I'm going to go ahead and show you. Alright guys, as you can tell, this is a Dart 351 block. So I'm going to go with a 427 in here. The motor that's in the hatch now is a 414 cubic inch, which is a 60 over 408 basically, out of an 89 block. You know, 2-bolt main, and it's a good motor. I mean, it really is. Pulls strong. Doesn't leak a drop of anything. I just got this block probably about 6 months ago. I found out that Dart was redesigning their blocks. So as you can tell here, the caps are billet steel, which are the best out there. I think they're going to redesign, if they haven't done it already. They were going to discontinue the billet steel and go with a nodular iron cap, which is still pretty good. But, you know, if you're going to have a choice, I'd rather have the, you know, the billet steel caps. So I went ahead and snatched one of the last ones that Summit had back around December, I think it was. So, because I knew that I was going to want to build a 427 at some point in the future. So I think that announcement just kind of pushed me in that direction a little sooner than anticipated. But yeah, so Dart block, obviously it's a 9.5 inch deck. It's the SHP block, so I mean, guys are good for, I think, 14 to 1600 horsepower. I mean, that's I'm not going to run anything like that on this block. It's just going to be an all motor setup. But I will tell you that the heads and valve train that are on Gunner, the hatch right here, are going to go right back on this block. So basically I'm just going to build a short block, and a lot of the other parts are going to go right back on it. So I already have the AFR 225cc heads on the 414 that's in this car now. They were the last generation, I think around 2011, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere around there, 2012. I think is when AFR went to the 220cc heads. But either way, they're very, very good heads. I'm going to use the same Cooks long tube headers, the exhaust, all that stuff's going to stay the same. I think I'm going to even use the same cam, which is the Cams Xfi 236 cam. It's a hydraulic roller cam. As you notice here, the only thing I really upgraded was I went to ARP main studs. You know, when you get to something to this level, even though this car is going to be all motor, you know, to me, you might as well just go all out. So I went ahead and obviously got the studs. So whenever you put studs on a block, and it doesn't matter if it's a Dart block or a stock block or whatever, whenever you upgrade the studs or upgrade 2 studs, you have to get these things line honed, guys. The caps they will go out of round just because the torque specs on these studs is a little higher, and the tensile strength and whatnot. So if you take a dial bore gauge before and after from bolts to studs, you will see an out of round condition. So obviously I'm going to take this all to the machine shop along with the rest of the parts I'm going to show you here in just a little bit. But yeah, so this is it. So Dart 427, guys, is what's going to go in here. And let me show you the rest of the stuff. All right, guys, so here's the flywheel that I'm going to send to the machine shop with everything else to get the crank balanced. These flywheels, this is the billet steel Ford Racing 28 ounce 157 tooth flywheel. These are the best out there in my opinion, not only because they're made in USA, but I'm not going to open up the box, but if you look on if you look online to whatever vendor has these, you'll notice that how they configure the 28 ounce weight imbalance on the flywheel. They do not add a bolt-on weight. What they do is they drill holes that equate to 28 ounces worth of removal, but 180 out. That's the best way, in my opinion. I've done balancing for electric motors and in a machine shop for 8 years. I did a lot of balancing at that time. It was a daily task. If you can remove weight 180 out instead of adding weight 180 from where it's calling, that's the best way to do it. So that's how the Ford Racing flywheels are dynamically balanced, so I like that. Here's the part number for the main studs. And I'll also give you guys this number as well. This right here is the number for the oil pump pickup stud that I installed. I had to buy that separately. What you saw on the number 3 cap, the elongated stud, that's what you want. You have to get that separately again. Here are the connecting rods that I'm going to use, H-beam rods. Let's go ahead and open one of these up. And you guys know what H-beam rods look like, so I'm not going to go through them, but they do look pretty. Well, let's see. I'm already here. Let's go ahead and do it. There you go. And also I did upgrade to the ARP 2000 rod bolts. Yeah, it was a little bit more, but again, cheap insurance. I'd rather have the best rod bolt out there. They do a lot of work while the engine's running, so might as well upgrade. As far as pistons are concerned, I went with DSS Racing pistons. Here's the part number. I've used SRP in the past and JE pistons, and they're really awesome. For this particular build, what I like about these pistons in particular is that they are notched. Their valve reliefs are notched for both an inline, 20-degree inline head or a twisted wedge head. So, guys, if you want to build a short block and you're unsure of what style cylinder head you're going to go with, let's say you're going to get heads at some point in the future, these pistons right here are probably the way to go. At the time I bought these, I was thinking about going with Trick Flow, 11R205 heads. But, so I ordered these because I wasn't sure if I was going to reuse the AFR 225s I have already or just get the 205s. But I'm going to just, said earlier, since I'm going to go with an inline head, I could have gone with a JE or, an SRP, but I already had these pistons. We're going to go ahead and open one of these up and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Alright guys, well here's one of the pistons pulled out so you can see it. So as you can tell, it's notched for both twisted wedge and inline heads. It's got a 22cc dish. think it's a 1280 compression height. And so yeah, this should put me right at 10.8, 10.9 to 1. So it's just going to be an all-motor car. But yeah, so there you have it. It's a good piece to have if you guys are going to build a short block and you don't know exactly what head you're going to run that far out, you know. This will allow you to do both. So at the time I bought these, I was thinking about going to a Trick Flow 11R205 head. But, you know, as stated earlier, I'm just going to reuse the AFR 225s that I have on the car already. Probably just upgrade the valve springs and call it a day. But there you have it. I've always been a big fan of Total Seal piston rings. They're a little pricier, but they're definitely worth it. What they do is, obviously, they use 2 rings and 1 groove. One is 180 out from each other. So these are the gapless top rings. Here's the part number. So it's 4125, 1.2 millimeter for top and middle, and oil scrapers of 3 millimeter. So, like I said, gapless top. So, gonna give really good vacuum results. That's what I have. Pretty much every motor I've built, I'm trying to remember, I think every motor I've ever built, I've used the gapless rings. And they've all run really, really well. So, especially if you guys are going to run a pretty big cam where you're not going to pull a lot of vacuum, this will help in that area as well. And also through the power band, just because there's more vacuum, you're going to get more air, more fuel, which obviously means more power. And here's the crank. It's a Scat, obviously, forged 4-inch stroke. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but it's in there, you can tell. And I like how they put Cosmoline, which is that sticky wax type of rust preventative. They sprayed that on there, so, but yeah. So it's a forged 4340 unit with 4-inch stroke, 2.1-inch rod journal. And here's the part number. Cleveland mains, obviously, and the 6000 means it will work with any rod that's 6 inches or longer. So my rods are 6.2 inches, so that should clear the counterweights just fine. So anyways, guys, all this stuff's going to go to the machine shop. Crank, all the pistons, rods, flywheel to balance the crank, and obviously I'm going to wait on the damper to come in as well. So, but here you have it. So this is the beginning of a Dart 427 custom build. Now, there's a lot of kits out there that already have, pistons, rings, the whole rotating assembly, your rods and everything. I'm a little nitpicky on what parts I use, as you can see. So I just piece them together. Every time I do a build, I piece everything together. You end up paying about the same, if not a little more, but it's truly customized to what you want to do. So if you do the research for what stuff you actually do want to use, you can piece them together. And again, the only downfall is, of course you have to take to a machine shop, get it balanced, but a lot of the rotating assemblies out there have that option, but I think it's another $200 or so. But yeah, I just like to piece everything together. So we're going to bring all this stuff to the machine shop along with the block. Always bring your pistons, even if you're not getting a rotating assembly balanced. Like, let's say you bought a rotating assembly that's been balanced, and you want to do your own block work, like you have a block, but you just need it machined. Always take your pistons with your block. Some machine shops, if you don't bring them the pistons, they'll just go ahead and final hone your cylinder walls to whatever the final bore is. If it's a 4125, that'll be it. Usually your pistons are going to be about 4 to 5 thou below what final overbore is, but you really want them to mic each piston and custom hone each piston to each hole. There can be some variances in machining and stuff like that, so always bring your pistons, and so they can mic each one of them and number the holes in the block where they're going to go in. That's the proper way to do these things. So But thanks again for watching, guys, and next time you see me, we'll probably be loading this stuff up and taking it to the machine shop, or leaving from the machine shop with everything done, ready to screw together, basically. So thanks for watching.